right, welcome to the Prospect Podcast. I'm Coach Schumann. We're excited to talk to special teams coordinator for LIU Sharks, and he's a running backs coach as well there, Ryan Jirgl. But before we do that, as always, I have my co-host, Coach D, with me to my left, and he's going to be driving the bus a little bit because I got to get my knee shot up. Otherwise, I'll be laying on the turf, and we'll be able to move. So this weekend. So I gotta get that knee. I need that. Whatever it's called. I need it.
Cortisone shot.
Yeah, my knees. Ugh. We're excited to talk to Coach. Coach is really, again, kind of the theme with a lot of the really younger top coaches that we have coming on. He's really risen up through the ranks. He was a starting safety back at Winona State when he was in college, at Division II level. They went to the playoffs when he was there. His DC at Bates College. He was DC at Oberlin College, DB coach FIU. He was a grad assistant there. He was a special teams coach and linebackers coach at Albright, and now obviously special teams coordinator at LIU, which is in the FCS realm. So we're excited to have Coach on the podcast. Coach, welcome to the podcast. Am I not hearing?
Can you hear us, Coach?
Uh-oh. Get technical difficulties?
I don't know. Everything was good, no?
He's moving.
I think hang on. Let's see if we can hang on. Maybe we gotta remove him and bring him back in.
Safe.
Let's see.
Try again.
Coach, you there?
Yeah, I lost you guys there for a little bit.
Oh, there we
Can you
go.
hear me?
Okay, all right, we were good. I don't know why that happened. Yeah, you're good. We can hear you now. Okay, all right.
Cool. Derek, you're getting good with it. You're able to bring it back up. Coach, if you could go into your background and just kind of, I touched on it briefly, but kind of your journey within football.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think everyone kind of hits that point when their career ends and kind of what the next transition is going to be, whether it's into some professional focus, business, career, entrepreneurship, or what it might be. I think I did a little bit of that, but first year out after I graduated college, which was a really cool experience. And I think that really lit the fire for me in terms of this was something that I wanted to do permanently, long-term as a career. Took that to Albright College, where I spent 2 years, really as my first college coaching opportunity. From there, I networked and teamed back up with a couple of coaches I had played for in college at the University of South Dakota. From there, I took a GA job at FIU down in Miami. And then my first really full-time coaching opportunity, fortunate, at the Division III level, small college football to coordinate as well too at Whittier College in Los Angeles, followed by 2 years at Oberlin College as a DC in Cleveland, or just outside Cleveland. I know you had mentioned Bates College, where I was a DC for a year following that. And then most recently now since 2023 at Long Island University.
Yeah, it's that's a fast rise. Talk a little bit about how you kind of dove. So you were originally kind of on the defensive side. You really dove into the special teams part of everything.
Yeah, when I spent so much time in small college coaching, and when you do so, your staffs are limited, right? So you're really going to be involved in a lot of phases or special teams kicking units, just because we need to have all hands on deck in order to make sure that we can cover all the instruction, all the teaching, all the bases of it. So, you're working with the punt team at said school A or school B, you're working with the kickoff unit. So it's always been a background of mine, whether it be as a player or as a coach in a number of these different spots along this journey. So when it was presented to me to kind of take the reins of it, and you're always looking for not necessarily something that checks the next box on a resume, but says, okay, how can I position myself not only today, but 5 years down the road to say, you know what, I've coordinated defenses, I've been the associate head coach, I've been the recruiting coordinator, I've done things to holistically round out my coaching background. And I think special teams is one of the most unique positions because of the crossover with offense and defensive players. Like you're dealing with guys that you might not see on a daily basis because you need different types of athletes to serve specific roles within those units. That's been the most fun thing for me. Now I've been a long time defensive guy, right? But finally the last year switching over to offense, now you get to know some of those receivers, some of those backs, some of those guys that are going to be, gunners for you on that punt team, return men, especially for the most part for those guys. That's been really good. I think now you start to build that culture. You start to build those relationships because let's be honest, guys want to be starters on offense. They want to be starters on defense. They're not necessarily that excited about being the starter on kickoff, but you've built that relationship. You've been on that side of the ball. You have, some name recognition and some continuity with those individuals. Hey, Coach Jirgl, I get more excited about now running down on kickoff for someone that they're a little bit, having more of a personal relationship with. So that's something for me that's been really fun to do.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, right? Like, I mean, I've done specials everywhere I've been, in 17 years of doing this and in some capacity. And I thought it was always, look, I loved it when I played it, right? It was just, those units were just fun. It was something different than offense and defense. Whereas most guys want to kind of, I don't know, feel like offense and defense is their ticket. Like I always just loved that for one play, every so many plays, we got to do something that like wasn't the norm, right? It was just different and you just got to go out there and do it. And I kind of took that philosophy with me into the coaching world. And then, as you grow, you start to realize that, hey, like this allows me to be able to work with every position group on the field, irregardless, right? Because I would never be working with the O-line if it wasn't for a field goal extra point, or I'd never be working with some of these other cats because, you're coaching one side of the ball or you're coaching this. And then in that in itself, right, like those guys now get to see you in a different limelight. And like you said, like you're not just another face that's a coach that never talks to them only when, or they only do when they have to, right? So now you get to interact with every one of those guys, build that trust. It's also awesome because like where I'm at, I always, as the special teams guy, I always want to do the sub varsity. I always want to do the JV teams because that makeup of what those guys are where I can find guys to steal plays on the teams, right? Like to keep one of those other guys fresh or just give them an opportunity to play, right? So, you can kind of use it in both worlds, right, to really kind of get it. But I think one of the hardest things to do is to get guys to buy into it, right? In terms of, even at like, especially at your level where guys, they want to be a starter on offense, they want to be a starter on defense. And then once they get there, right, kind of how do you handle it? So I guess my question to you is, how do you guys handle it? Do best players play? Do you kind of pick and choose whether it's starters or twos? College is obviously very different when it comes to depth than in high school. But how do you guys go about kind of organizing your teams? Is it best 11? Is it starters? Do you kind of pick and choose who goes and who doesn't? How do you guys work it?
Yeah. I think it's got to be, first and foremost, a mutual understanding from the top down, from head coach to coordinator, and then into myself and in position coaches. Hey, this is where we're going to need X amount of your players. So I do like to find what we call the core four guys, right? There's going to be a guy that might be a backup linebacker that's going to be on every one of your core four, your punt return, kickoff, kick return. Those guys are ideal. But then also too, like you're only going to be as good as your best units. When it comes to starters, whether it's offense or defense, really my plea to those coaches is, hey, I need your guy for 2 units, and if he's like a linebacker or he's a nickel, for example, like I need him on those 2 kick coverage units where he's got to run down, he's got to make a tackle. So, if I'm a starting Safety, I need you on punt, and I need you on kickoff. And I think from there, you're not asking the world. And then you got to sell it. And you got to sell it in terms of, okay, hey, here's a great opportunity. Hey, go down and make 2 more tackles. Right now, you're 8 tackle game. You can have 10 tackle game. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think when you can kind of start to paint the picture for those guys and give them that vision, there's much more excitement around it. For us at our level, I think this has really kind of changed the narrative recently. It helps guys put together postseason transfer portal tape.
Yep.
Right. Now he's the complete player. Now he's showing up on special teams. It's my sell to the starting corner. It's my sell to the starting wide receiver. Like, great. You might only catch 3 footballs as a receiver in a game for, name how many yards it is. But if you can run down on kickoff or you're a gunner on punt, you just made yourself that much more attractive come portal window time. And with who we are, where we are in this, now you start to see those light bulbs go on for some of these guys. So it's like, I'm using the platform in the world that we're living in right now to just pour gasoline on that fire for these guys.
That's a great point.
And that's the world we're living in.
It's interesting you bring up that point too, because it's
we had a DB part-time starter this last year, but was dynamic. He's a Millville guy. He's a South Jersey guy.
They're real good.
So yeah, that stuff's exciting.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's interesting you bring up the point of like that even that point's brought up with respect to transfer portal that they're showing. I'm curious at LIU. Do you guys like, what is the approach and philosophy to like the players that you have? Is it like, hey, develop them while you have them, and you build your team around the core guys, and knowing that if some guy really goes off the charts, he could leave? What is the thoughts there? And then when you bring on players, what are you looking for from that standpoint?
Yeah, I think one thing that we do really well, and it's a credit to Coach Cooper, is that he's very transparent in recruiting. Let's start with like the high school kid, for example, right? I think we're getting better high school football players at our level right now that may be a kid, then just talk regionally, right? That may 5-10 years ago would have maybe been a Temple guy, or maybe would have been a Syracuse guy, but he falls to us because those schools are obviously recruiting the older transfer kid. So we're still going to recruit the high school kid. But then we tell them very transparently, hey, come in, right? Ball out and get out. And we'll help you to do so, because if they're going to contribute and help us be productive, if they're going to be productive individually on the field, collectively, we're going to be productive. That's a win-win for everyone. And now you can go into the high schools continuously after that, continue to recruit the high school, because you've got this example that's been successful. And I think that's been really helpful for us. So I think one thing that we do is we're very transparent in the recruiting process with the parents, with the high school kids specifically. And then when we've gone into the transfer portal and had to replace some guys, it's a little bit of a different beast. And I think what's challenging from year in and year out for us is that there's no like blueprint. Last year there was 2 portal windows. Now this year there's 1 portal window. So you can't say, okay, this is what we did last year. This is how we attacked it. We lost 4 offensive linemen last May to FBS programs. Well, fortunately, we're not going to have to navigate that because there's no May portal window. But you just can't say, okay, this is what worked last year. This is what's going to work for us moving forward. So it's a little bit different with the mid-year guys. You're excited when guys can progress and take the next best opportunity, but then you have the work that's required to go and replace them there. And you can't replace them. You can't replace the high school kid that leaves in 2 years with the high school kid. You have to find the individual that can replace him right now, add value. So that's a little bit of a different dynamic. So the conversation with the transfer kid is, typically we need you to come in and compete right now and be a guy for us, which obviously they get excited about, we get excited about, but you've only got so much time, right? You might only have spring ball, what you have with summer, and now you've got to be able to hit the ground running. And for us, and then it's a schedule where it's like where you're opening up at TCU, you're opening up at Florida, you're opening up at Kansas. It's like, okay, like we got to be ready come August. And, we're drinking a little bit out of a fire hose for some of these guys. But then it takes us as coordinators, myself, offensively and defensively, and okay, what can we do in spring and what can we do in summer so that our guys are confident and they're playing fast and they're ready to go out and compete, because you just don't have the time you had before, playbook wise. Like, it's very elementary. It's very simplistic in terms of techniques and fundamentals. Like, you've got to be able to do this at a very efficient clip.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. It's really interesting. The fact how you guys are so like kind of straightforward about that process. When you, from special teams guy standpoint, you talked about how like that's one of the things that you convince guys to play special teams. Do you have like a philosophy within your special teams that you have like a specific, hey, this is how we are. We're super aggressive. What is the philosophy that you guys have from a special team standpoint?
Yeah, I think because we believe that in every unit that we're in control, and that's something that we preach with our guys. Is hey, so two things that we'll always reiterate is attitude and effort. What I love about attitude and effort for us is that they're two of the controllables regardless of situation. So if it's a situation where we're backed up in a punt and we've got to try to flip the field, put our defense in a situation where they can hold our opponent from putting points up on the board. Well, it's our attitude and how we attack it. It's our effort and how we execute it. And for us, our guys get really excited because, oh shit, like we're good. Our backs might be up against the wall, but you flip their mindset to being the aggressor with that. And that's what I preach. And I think sometimes we try to fulfill so much verbiage and fluff that our guys get overwhelmed, whether it's with playbooks or it's philosophies. Hey, these 10 commandments, or here's what
I am. This acronym, that acronym, right?
White. I'm very to the point. Yeah, like I'm done with that. Like we can.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Just right.
Listen, I can only watch and I don't know. He's probably a good guy.
Do
but
you
I can
or
only
do
watch
you not?
PJ
Right?
Fleck for too long.
Like I just.
No.
Listen, and I'll take whatever you want to say. Like, I'm good. I'm good on the whole like male cheerleader thing, right? Like I'm good on the rah-rahs when you use like good. Like, guess
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. Right? That's like, great. Though.
Okay, but at the end of the day, either you make the tackle or you don't, right? In today's society, right? Oh, hey, good. You didn't have a great quarter in sales. Well, hopefully next quarter you can do better. Like if we don't efficiently cover kicks, I don't have a job, right? My daughter doesn't eat, right? Who's paying the mortgage? Like, okay, let's talk about some things that are a little more like real life to this. So I'm going to sit here and pump you full of a bunch of buzzwords and, cool, fun sayings that we can all just chat GPT and Google right now. Like, sorry, I get a little, I'm a little.
That's a great point, by the way. Great point, because
it's phenomenal.
What people need more is,
guys think that's what coaching is.
Right. They need the guidance. Like if you have some sort of saying, okay, and there's a new one every day, you have to have the coaching behind that. Like what is applicable to what's the applicability, real life applicability on these things? I think that's a really good point. And I do think this generation definitely thinks about things differently and need more. I think Derek's generation, which is right after mine, I think you could, the sayings and the philosophies were really good. We didn't yet have a situation where you had cynicism, where you could get all these different things easily accessible on your phone, right?
Right.
I think that kind of rah-rah approach could have a good effect. There's a balancing act. Obviously, coaches coached a lot harder back then, so I think it coupled much better. Now it's gone to the other pendulum. Like these kids are, they need to be talked to frankly, in my opinion, and their parents do too. And and I mean. And Derek could probably say, like, I've really changed. I mean, I've always been fairly blunt, but like, I've gone much harder on this than I was a few years ago. Like I was I used when I first started coaching, I was definitely like I was tough, but I was also rah-rah on things. I've like you got to change with each generation of kids, right? Not that they want to compete. There's certain things that all kids, no matter what era, I mean, they want something to help them, right? That never changes. But how you help them may look differently depending on what their outside influences are and maybe inside influences, right?
When they can come and go more
right.
today than they ever. So there's got to be some type of relationship, right? I think that's never changed, right? There has to be some type of buy-in and relationship that they have with the coach, the individual, those that they're working with. In the special teams, we don't have all the time in the world. I can't sit in front of the team and give them 15, 20 different slides because I might only have a 10-minute install period, right? So I've got to be super efficient. So I really, it's kind of a benefit of the time that I can't sit there and pump them full of all these different philosophies. And if the player can come and go, I mean, they can sit there as well too. And if I give them some acronym,
and they hear one every year, right?
They'll go on their phone and then they'll be like, I just heard Nick Saban say that. Oh, he just got that off of Twitter. Or like these guys are smart. They're very smart. And if they know that you're trying to pull the wool over their eyes, you're trying to blow smoke at them, you've lost all credibility and good luck ever getting that back because they're on to the next.
100%. And I always said that too.
Phenomenal
Even at the high school level, like these kids read right through the bullshit, right? Like they know who's there for certain reasons. Who they know all the daddy ball shit for the most part. Like everybody's spewing off on whatever. And if you're one of these guys, like they're gonna ask you the question. And if you don't have the answer and you try and bullshit them, like they'll eat you for lunch. Like, and that's irregardless of like the setting or where it is. That could be on the damn practice field, that could be in a meeting room, in the weight room. Right? Like they're so just in tune to kind of the pulse of what's going on that you can't bullshit them. And then, like you said, I think the hardest part is if you try and do that, they will cut you off and you are done. Like you will never have that credibility back. Like you can't earn it back because they're one-stop shopping. They'll be done with you and they'll move on to the next 100%.
I can't speak to how like that even, transpires where these guys are making $600,000-$700,000. Like how do you sit there and have conversation? Like, so if it doesn't matter.
I just want to know how you get them better, like the NFL. Like, how am I going to get better?
Right.
And to me, that even starts like I have a son and I listen, the way I talk to parents, I'm telling you, like I would have never talked like this. 20 years. It's funny. It's kind of the opposite because everybody talks so softly to people. I don't. I don't talk that way with kids because I watch them. I watch young kids, and what happens is everyone tries to say, "Hey, I want you to have a good time." And I'm like, dude, like they're just gonna run right through. These kids are smart now, like 10 years old. Like you give them, you say, "Hey, do whatever you want," or you don't. And I watch it in every practice, like with the way some coaches. I'll coach with some great guys, okay, that know a lot of stuff, and I'll see a kid goofing around. I'm like, hey, you listen to coach? Are you paying attention to him? Even when I'm an assistant, and I mean, they come right to attention. I know that with kids, and it goes with the older guys. Now you obviously have to build a relationship with them. You got to be able to talk to them after all those kind of things, but you got to hold kids and young adults accountable immediately because they are already looking to go somewhere else. I don't care what, and this goes from youth all the way to college. They're always looking to go somewhere else. Someone else is always in their ear. So you need to talk bluntly to them on what you expect so they understand that. So while they are there, they get the most out of that experience. I don't care if someone turns around and says, oh, this guy didn't play me that much or whatever. I care that when they were there, they had an opportunity to learn, get better, and have an opportunity to understand what accountability is because it's not taught. I'm telling you, I see it all the time. It is not taught anymore. And it's not just, dads that are coaching or even some coaches at the high school level are not teaching it. Like guys like Derek obviously does, but there's a lot of guys that don't. And then you end up getting those kids. I always say this, Who ends up getting those kids? You do. Your job is end up being 10 times harder because you get a great athlete who's not accountable. And now you're like, oh my goodness, or you know what I mean, and that makes it really hard in recruiting. I'll let you continue on. You might just see me walk in and get into my car, but continue, Coach.
You're good. No, I think you're spot on, because it's the instant gratification world that we live in, right? So if you're not transparent right now with mom or dad or uncle or aunt and individual, like they're on to the next. So whether that's in your first initial contact in recruiting or in the recruiting, process, like you have to be able to hit on things that are tangible, that they can digest and they can feel, right? Touch, but to the point of where it's like, okay, where you've got a legit shot. But I think you have to be transparent with it. And, I had a recruit on campus once. He's like, oh, coach, what do you how many safeties you're bringing up? Like, I'm bringing one up tomorrow, bringing up one the next day. And I think that actually shocks people a little bit, the rawness of it. But I think it's refreshing at the same time as well, too. Because everyone's feeding them a bunch of just BS on what they want to hear.
And this is what look, unfortunately, like in the position that we are and the approach that we take, like Dave and I, like for majority of the time, kind of almost have to be like the bad guy, right? Because they've been fed all of this fluff for so long about you're the best player and you're going to go here and you're going to do this, right? So that like when they get to us, like, we tell them the truth. Like, here's where I think you belong. Like, this is the level I think you are. I hope I'm wrong, but this is where I think it is. And those are really tough conversations that you have. But because I care about you that much, I'm willing to give you that and to give you that feedback. And they don't like to hear it most of the times. And mom and dad don't like to hear it most of the time. Right. But hey, like, I understand that you've been told this for so long, but hey, this is probably the reality of it. And look, they might not like it, but when it comes to it, all right. And they might, see you later, go somewhere else, do whatever. But more times than not, buddy, when it comes to senior year and it's still, they're sitting there going, well, I don't have anywhere to go. Hey, I'm sorry. I apologize. Like, I try to tell them. And, we really try to work the well-rounded player. It's something that we talked about, like when you look at it, it's, we could go and get the best players, the biggest, the strongest, the fastest guys, the guys that like, the whatever, how many this stars, that stars, like we could go and get those guys and have them on team, no doubt. But I want the good character kid, the team guy that's going to do things the right way, that's going to play his ass off, that's going to understand, take coaching, want to get better, right? All of those like things. And I think now when you cut it down and you look at recruiting and where it's at right now for you, like we don't have time to sit here and bullshit and fluff and do whatever. And I'm not going to paint a picture of what it's not, because that just isn't good for everybody in the long run, right? Because you get a guy on campus and it is what it is, and you're saying all these things, and then okay, that recruiting visit's over, now he comes to school, he's on campus, and all of a sudden it's not what it is. Like, now you just have more problems on that end that you have to now deal with again. So what are we talking about here? You know what I mean? Like let's just do it the right way from the jump.
Yeah, I said, like, I mean, even in recruitment, if I have to convince you this is the right school, then I got to convince you, right, to go to class. Then I got to convince you to go to workout, convince you to go to practice. I said,
like, what are we doing?
Exhausting for me. I said, now you feel like I'm babysitting you. Like, so who's winning in this? Just to get you on campus, right? Like, we're not helping ourselves. Where we found a lot of success recently with the transfer portal, it's the lower level kid that's been very successful.
Damn right.
He's been highly productive at the PSAC school, right? The Division II school.
Oh yeah. You see a bunch of these guys going and going up.
He's a 20+ game starter. He's an all conference. So like when he comes to us, makes the transition. Okay. He's been in fourth quarter situations. He's been in a 2-minute drill, and taking live snaps and reps when the game's been on the line. So like to me, that goes so much further because you can't duplicate game reps. You can't even simulate them in practice and things like that. So
and that's good to coach. Like it's one of these questions I try to bring up to a lot of guys, and look, nobody has the answer, right? Because it's just that hard. It's like, how do you recruit? Like, how do you recruit that kid? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to find that kid that's good. That's, like you have film, okay, that's one thing, right? And that shows a little something. Maybe there's a hustle play on there or whatnot. You could talk to, you know what I mean? Like the conversation with his coach, which I think has gone by the wayside now because so many of these coaches literally cut out the head coach or coaches in general don't even talk to him and just go recruit a kid, you know, through DMs and whatever, which is unbelievable. But that's the world we're living in. The foot traffic within schools themselves, like it's not a thing anymore. But how do you really kind of, when you're looking at and you want that well-rounded guy, right? Like, is it literally piecing together all of the pieces, like the film aspect of it? And then, okay, these are his grades, but how do you really know that kid is that guy, right? Unless you meet him in person. And then even in that, it's difficult because it's not a game day situation. You're not actually coaching him. And at a camp, okay, he's running a 40, right? Like, what are we doing? You know, so I don't really know what the question is within there, but like, how do you fully evaluate a guy when it comes to the well-rounded player? And I'm probably biased, right? Because as a 5'8" white dude, right, kind of slow, right, got my opportunity though to play at Sacred Heart and loved every second of it, right? Finished Division III at Montclair State for nothing other than personal reasons of like had nothing to do with playing at an FCS level because I loved every bit of it, right? But always the underdog, right? So it was always kind of like, well, I don't get the opportunity because of a 5'8" kind of slow white guy, like blah blah blah, playing DB. How does that guy now? I feel like this is awesome, dude. You can go D3 and work your way up and end up at LIU as long as you do everything that you've always done, right? And those opportunities are there for you. So for me, I love this recruiting world, but like for you, it's got to be really, really hard on that end to kind of get those guys in the building. So how do you find them? Like, how do you go and get them?
I think it's a really good question, and I think it's ever evolving because I think the thing that we've gone away from most is the thing that was the most beneficial was the foot traffic, right? I think you still need to get into high schools. I think you need to be able to sit down and have conversations one-on-one with these coaches. Individuals without all the noise around, right? Noise, I mean, like at the
let me tell you like what he did off the field shit. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to have those personal
players want to, high school recruits, right? They want to go play for someone they like. Naturally, if the coach walks into their school and there's a connection or they're having a conversation and whether the individual is shy or not or confident, like there's going to be some sort of back and forth conversation. And there's going to be some interest on, it's got to be mutual, right? But I think you have to, you can't compromise the basics because if you skip those, you're going to, find yourself reverting back to or trying to answer some of those questions that you might have skipped in the early ends of the process. So what really kind of said is like, I don't believe in not going into school. I think you still have to have conversations with high school coaches. I still think you have to sit down with an individual one-on-one. Great if he runs a 40 at a camp. Great if you can evaluate his film. But in order to really know the person, the individual, I think you have to have, one-on-one in-depth conversations. I think the hard part right now is that we're trying to speed date. And we're trying to speed date.
That's exactly what it is. That's all exactly
surface
what
level,
it is.
Right? So
everything is every and I just like it's always got like football and recruiting. It's very difficult, right? Because it's always the trickle down, right? Like it's got to be vertically aligned. We all have to have the same approach, but even within that, like you're going to recruit different than the guy in the next room is going to recruit different. Like you know 100%. What I mean? Or even the approach to it. It's like hey, like this. Look, we're tight on guys at this position. We could really use this. You know what I mean? And to me, it's always. And on, because I'm on the opposite side of it, right? As a high school coach, and the kids are constantly about like, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I play here? How do I play this? And I said, buddy, like, I just want you to know, like, it don't matter what level you're going to. If you're playing college football, you're already and above like majority of the people in this country, right? Like 7% of guys go to play college football, 3% actually get paid to do it, right? In terms of scholarship or whatnot. I said, so like, fellas, like the shit you see on Saturday, I call them TV, like they're TV schools, right? Because they're always on CBS, ABC, like your big time programs. Like, buddy, if we're having this conversation and you're a sophomore, then we're probably ain't hitting those already. right? Unless something crazy happens to it. I said, so my whole philosophy and how I talk to these kids now is go somewhere you're wanted, right?
Yeah.
Like that coach that's annoying the hell out of you and you just don't understand, like just on you all. Dude, those are the places you want to really, really look at, because you don't want to force feed something, because across the board, then your opportunities shrink, right? Like you're just not going to ever be on the good side of that guy. Now, if you go there and play really well, absolutely. And I 100% understand the proving something to somebody, right? But that doesn't mean you sacrifice everything else. Like you got to get your boots on the ground on campuses, go see them, go talk to players. One of the best things I think colleges do, right? And my buddy is the head coach at, Montclair State Division III program. But what he does is when he has recruits on campus, he'll bring the parents and the kids into a room, put 4 of his players up on the stage and walk out and say, fire away and go. And he tells his players, you tell the truth. Like, I don't care if you hate me, if you despise this, like these people need to know that we're at least real. And here you go. Now, look, that could backfire, but come on. Like, I think that's unbelievable, because to me, when I was in it, getting recruited, the best part about it was having those conversations with the guys in the locker room, right? Because you knew coaches were whatever they were. You knew it was this, that. But when you talk to the guys in the locker room of like, what is this really like here? That's when you got the gist of what the program is. And that's where I feel like, being a special teams coordinator, I have a different gauge and a pulse on the team, because I interact with all of these dudes every single day, right? Like we're about 55 deep, and believe me, freshman to senior, like we rock, and they all know exactly who I am, what I bring, how honest and shit I am, which sometimes it's like, oh my God, like you got to curtail it a little bit with freshmen, because they're like, it's about keeping them in the program, not scaring them away. But I'm not that. I just want them to all be comfortable enough to come and tell me, be like, coach, I'm not having a shitty day today. Like, you know what I mean? Or, hey, I got this going on. Like at the bare minimum, Ryan, this is what it baffles me. It's like, hey, other coaches, like make sure you at least know their kids' names, right?
No
like
doubt.
Some of these dudes don't even know their kids' names. And I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? I'm like, yes, I interact with them all on specials, and we do a depth chart every single day, which I think helps too. Like, because I think rank, recorded, and published, and none of these kids, like no kid wants to be on the bottom of a list, right?
No.
They all want to be a part of something. And I think that's what special teams can do for you. And for our philosophy, right? Like to go back to circle back, because we talked about like, who plays and whatnot. So how we do it is basically I'll get a list of guys, and it's like, can't use them. Right. They're usually the best players. Right. So it's like, all right, coach, you know what I mean? Like, and he trusts me with this. And believe me, I love him. I think it's great. He's one of the best head coaches I've ever worked for. We're going on year 3. And believe me, he gives me a ton of responsibility, and like anything I need for specials, like we roll, because he understands how important they are. And I think that's rare at the high school level, right? Have a guy dedicated to, hey, you're the special teams coordinator, right? Like you do all of it. Now, he picks and chooses, like as the head coach, right? Like, okay, he takes punt pretty much, right? He takes a huge role in our extra point, right? Mainly because we do so many muddles and huddles and do all that kind of fun shit, right? To spice it up, because these guys love that. You know what I'm saying? Like installing a new one every week. Every team hates us because they got to prepare for it, but that's part of the philosophy, right? So what we do is we set a depth chart, right? And it changes every single day. It's 1 through 3s, right? We use colors, green, white, you know what I mean? Gray, right? Like the grays at the bottom, you know what I mean? Like your white is the prime times. They're your ones, right? And we set it every single day. And it's unbelievable when you see like sophomores fighting for a 3 spot because they want their name on the list. You know what I'm saying? And then we kind of gauge it again, being the JV coach, right? Like, hey, any of these younger guys that we can now coach up, because we go hard with it, right? Like we'll do a pre-practice period, with your kickers, your punters, all that kind of stuff. Then we get an individual period. I get an individual period for whatever teams we're doing that day, where we can actually work individual drills and skills based off of what we're doing special teams wise. And then we get a team session. And then within offense or defensive team, we throw specials in there too. So we complete a pass up, not 3rd down. All right, here we go. All right, punt. We got a punt. It's 4th down. We got a punt. Run the punt team on, because we're situational when it comes to it. We want those guys to kind of understand it. It's not your, all right, punt, go out, everybody stand here on the side. All right, let's get a look. You know what I mean? Like, no, we're like, it's game stuff. And I think they really buy into it. And this is a question that I have for you. When it comes to coaching responsibilities within special teams themselves, how do you guys do it? Do you divvy up the whole team? Is everybody responsible for part of a team, right? Like, hey, you take the front line of kickoff. We got the kick returners. Because I've seen it done I've seen it done every which way. And I always tell this story. Like, my first start at Sacred Heart, game 1, made the bus, right, was the front line of kick return. I had never done the front line of kick return. I'd been a returner my entire life, right? Yeah. But the guy that coached me on the front line of kick return, Neil Brown, just got fired from West Virginia. Like, that was my front line kick. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here, right? So it's always interesting to see kind of the makeup of it. So, right, 1, how do you do it? 2, if you were the head coach, how would you do it? If it was the same way, if not, just what do you feel? What's your philosophy when it comes to that?
Yeah. Good question. So for me, I will always coach the most intricate, most difficult, most vital piece of each kick phase.
Got it.
Right. So when it comes to punt, for example,
right, I was going to ask. Could you give me the integral parts of each one?
Punter, shield, if you will, right? Protection, right? Yeah, the core of it. That's going to be my baby, because then who really can be kind of like the quarterback of each unit? I want to be involved with as many conversations with them as possible, right? So if it's my personal protector who's going through all my communication, I can have more one-on-one contact and conversations with him.
No doubt.
Then, okay, the next biggest piece, I think, for me is, who do you trust to give you, or who are you going to have as many conversations with that's going to run your scout team? Because you're only going to be as good as the look that you're going to get. So,
damn right.
If I have to sit here and say, oh, hey, okay,
hey, move this guy over here, put this guy here. Hey, let's do this. Hey, they do this, right? Like, you know what I mean? And look, at the high school level, that is difficult, right? That is difficult because it's another responsibility unless you have somebody. But I mean, look, we hammer it home. We try and say, look, like, this is important. Like, you got to be out here. If nonetheless, right, we I don't know about if you guys have any type of technology, but we use what are called go routes. So basically what it is it's your scout card on basically a phone.
I know you're talking about.
Dude, Ryan, they're unbelievable. I say it to everybody. Like, if you can invest in them and use them, they change the game, bro. Because now I'm not holding up a scout card. You're not running back to the huddle. All I'm doing is hitting a button, sending out the look, right? And it's literally a picture. And these kids see technology, you know what I mean? They get all giddy goo, right? And I'm telling you, it's literally added. It's cut like so much time from practice and the efficiency part of it. I mean, it's an unbelievable thing. But that's part, like, I need someone to run the go route, because how am I supposed to sit here and coach and then I got to stop to change this? No, get the scout right. You know the segments in practice. We have a practice plan. Everybody run through it. So the scout guy needs to be your second biggest piece of it. Okay, I mean, honestly, that makes
just
sense.
Like you're saying, though, right? Like, from an efficiency standpoint, because you're only going to have so much time.
Correct.
How can you maximize reps? Because for us, different than the high school level, we're going to have more meeting time, right? So I can teach off of film. I can teach off of.
You'll laugh. We get meeting time for specials.
Yeah. I'll be honest, you probably have more meeting time than we have.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, we're also at somewhat of an advantage too, because we get out of school so early. Like, they get out of school at 1:30.
Gotcha.
So we like, we're in the meeting room, and then it's all right, 10 minutes offense, 10 minutes defense, 10 minutes like specials, right? And that's every single day. And depending on whether we're either watching the previous game, right, to break that down and look at some of the mistakes and stuff that we do within it, or we're repping, or we're looking at what they do, right? And they get a sheet every week too with the breakdown of it, like, kicker's number this, punter's number this, he's averaging this, or this guy's a threat. Like, we really gotta like don't kick it to this guy, which I usually never say, because what happens every time you tell a kid not to kick it?
No doubt.
Perfect kick, best kick of his life, right? Like, so we do that. At the same time, on the flip side of it, we know that other teams don't do that. So we take advantage of that, right? Like that extra time they have to spend because now we're in 5 different muddles, for an extra point, right? Like they have to take the time during the week to go through it. Now, look, we know Jimmy's and Joe's win games, played it simple. If they have better players, doesn't matter what the shit I do. Like it really doesn't. But it adds buy-in from everybody on the roster. And in today's age of transferring, the more guys I can get to play, the more guys that are bought in and will be on board and won't leave. I look at it like that, and I'm a public school, right? Like I get what I get, and it is what it is. But I still want these guys involved, right? One of the best statistics that we had was we averaged between 22 and 25 special team snaps a game, right? 11 games. We played 11 games this year. We had 1 substitution penalty. And nobody even caught it because there was only 10 on the field and we still made the extra point. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was one of those. The head coach did it because we're like, oh shit. Kid came to me and he's like, standing next to me. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I missed that rep. I'm like, bro, like, you know what I mean? And it was early in the season. I'll make every excuse for him. But that stuff's pivotal. Like the way you go about it on the sideline to have a roster of that many guys. We know what the chaos is on the sideline, to be so structured that those guys understand. And this is with me as also coaching receivers, and I'm the signal guy. So I'm not third down. Hey guys, get in the box. We're ready to go if we're going to punt. That's them on their own. Like, I usually tab one guy to be like the leader of kind of each group who I know is coming off the sideline with the others. We do a really good job during the week of doing, like, we call it a chair drill, where we'll go through the depth chart and say, all right, 11 on kickoff, stand up. All right, we're 11. Good. Sebastian, you're down. All right. Billy's up, right? Like they got to sit. The other guy's got to stand up, say his name so they know how it works, right? And now they're plugged in because am I going in? Am I playing? Or, hey, maybe they're only on specials. And that buy-in itself is, hey, I only get 22 plays a game right now as a sophomore or as a junior. We've just seen it so much, so like add to the development of the guys because they're so bought into it, right? Like they're just in it because this is all I get to do. And here's the other part too. And for anybody, coaches listening, guys get so infatuated with lettering, right? Because now they can go get their varsity jackets, they can get all this, you know what I'm saying, at that level. Buddy, if you play every special, like, or have played, like, if you're over 3 games of starting on even one special team, like, dude, we give you a letter. Like, go ahead, bro. Like, you deserve it. You're part of the team. And, that was a big change with, like, the old regime because getting your letter was, like, a big deal. You had to be a starter. This so many parameters. And I convinced my head coach, so like, buddy, let's give almost give everybody letters when they earn it, right? But if this guy's on kick return for 3 games, dude, he's out there playing varsity. You know what I'm saying? Like, let him go. And now he can, like, now that you should see the buy-in for some of these guys just because, like, oh, I lettered, or, oh, I'm in it. I think that's a huge piece of it. But to circle back to the coaching aspect, right? Like, I never want the coordinators to have to do much, right? Like, or unless they come to me and say, I want to coach the returners, right? Or give me this guy, because they always got some other craziness going on, right? Give me the other guys. Like, your DB coach needs to be involved. Your O-line coach is pivotal when it comes to extra point field goal stuff. Because, dude, what are we talking about? Like, they're your guys, right? You know which hog mollies are up there. And look, that play sucks. Worst play in football. It's basically get your ass kicked for 2 seconds and just take it and go. Like, to ask them to do that, right? Like, that's why we do the muddle stuff. Gives them a little something different. Or, hey, buddy, like, you're all the way out there. You've never been on the numbers. What's it feel like to be on the numbers? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that buy-in from all the coaches too. And I've always said this, like, if your head coach isn't calling offense, isn't calling defense, sometimes him being how heavily involved he is, or like tells you how, like, with the specials, right? Like, whether he coordinates the specials or whether he's involved in it, there's more of a buy-in from the team. You agree with that?
100%. Yeah. It's, top down, right? And it's transparent, right? The players will see it if they see him either coaching up one of the gunners on punt, or stepping into, improve a technique on punt block. Guys go, like, because what I've always told guys on offense or defensively is like, listen, if you want me to trust you for 60, 70 snaps on defense,
Yep.
we first have to be able to trust you for 25, 30 snaps on special teams.
Damn
and
right.
I think that's, guys, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Why would I think I'm a starter on defense if I can't even be a core 4 guy on special teams? But
I really love the core 4 stuff. I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that.
With some of the other coaches then too, I tried to use their areas of expertise, but then also kind of what fits us positionally. Like, so if I'm working with some of our gunners, I want our wide receiver coach who's going to work some releases and do some things like that with our guys.
Yep.
Also, now he can sit in his wide receiver room and say, hey, like you said, Billy, why you're not on the bus or why you're not traveling this week? Like, why can't you get yourself to be on special teams? I coach the position. You think you're a 20, 30 snap guy on offense? Why are you not a starting gunner for us right now? But now they're able to, like, that conversation's happening more often than if it's just a random crossover coach or something like that.
And I also think one of the biggest adjustments from high school to college ball for most of these guys is they go from being the star, the man, playing every snap, to now they go to college and they're not even on the bus. Like, that's really hard for them to handle. So for us, the philosophy is, look, you play some specials in college or in high school. Now, when you get to college, like, that's your first opportunity to get on the bus, right? To show these guys that you can play, because you can take snaps away from these other guys. And I think that to them, they don't understand it till they get there. And it's, hey man, get out there and look, like, your first highlights on your high school tape might be you being a gunner, getting down there and making a play, because look, you're a wide receiver, but you run the wing T. So how many catches do you really have? You want to showcase what it is, like, be a teamer, right? Like, show these guys you can do other things. I always use an example of one of my former players. Was like a 3-year starter, was the quarterback, right? But always played special teams, right? He goes to Holy Cross. He's a safety for like 2 days. They move him into the box. He becomes a linebacker, but he really cut his teeth playing special teams because he had done it in high school. Yeah. And now he's been on the practice squad with the Indianapolis Colts the last 2 years, right? This year with the Bengals, all because he could play every team. He wasn't just a tackle to tackle linebacker. Like, you got to think about that. If you're good enough to do that, like, the more opportunities you can create for yourself to get on the field, to go from being the star, never leaving the field, to never playing, right, in college. But now at least the team, or even if you tell me you love the game as much as you do, why do you not want to be on the field? Because your playing time is already cut in half once you get to college anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I try to tell those guys that all the time. It doesn't sink in until they get there and they're like, oh, coach, this sucks. Like, I'm not even playing. It's like, yeah, earn your time. And then when you become the starter on defense, guess what, buddy? You still get to run around on teams. So that's another however many amount of plays you get to actually play the sport, right, in the game situation. And because that's what it's really all about. That's how I sell it, right? And for you as a college coach, like, you coach running backs too. Do you look at that on a highlight tape and say, look, this guy can return for, not just returning, because everybody gets infatuated with the return aspect. Like, hey, this guy could be a wing on punt, or for what you guys do, right? Like, he could be a shield guy, or hey, this guy's a really good long snapper, but he can run as well. So now we can release him down the field. Just, it adds more to your chemistry. Do you look for that within recruits themselves of like, hey, this guy can do this for us as well?
I think it's hard to probably pinpoint that with the high school kid, because more often than not, if he's one of your better athletes at the high school level, he's going to be able to have immediate special teams value at the next level. I believe so. Whether he's shown his ability. Now, there are some of those guys that will have a kickoff coverage clip or something like that I'll get excited about, probably more so than the next.
Yeah,
but
right.
And then you're bringing it up in recruiting. You're having conversations about
He's also smart enough to include it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Because I can't even imagine some of the tape you guys get based off of, like, I just can't. 10 minutes. Like, what are we doing? Like, you know what I mean?
And then on the flip side, right? Like, if all of your tape is just special teams, it's like, okay, I need to see more of you being an offensive or a defensive player too,
No doubt.
So yeah, I think it's not so much with the high school kid now. There's definitely value that you feel that you can plug and play with a transfer guy, because more likely than not, he might have some of that stuff that he's done at the collegiate level already.
Right, because he's coming to you looking to get that starting defensive role. So most of his stuff probably is specials, or it's, I don't want to say mop up time, but it's backup time, or it's a role.
Right?
Well, that's the other thing too. I feel like LIU is very different than others, right? Because you guys are kind of like, it's just hard for me to pinpoint it. You know what I mean? Because like you're still a young program, right? It's still a young FCS program. I don't think a lot of people understand that it used to be CW Post Division II, right? Made this move, changed, literally rebranded everything about the school, colors included. And I've been there, right? So to go from green and gold to freaking Carolina blue and what, like white, like talk about a total changeover in every aspect. But I also feel like, I don't know if you're really respected on the level that you deserve, right? Because you're an FCS program, but I feel like a lot of people, because you have Stony Brook, that's right around the corner too, right? You have Sacred Heart in Connecticut, Yale, the Ivies are around here, right? Princeton, Penn, you know what I mean? Like Monmouth, right? Like there's a lot of FCS programs in this area, Villanova, right? Like you really kind of hit up, like there's a lot in this area, right? And there's not many Power Fours really, in my eyes, in my, like when I'm looking at the Northeast, right? Boston College, UConn, Syracuse, right? Like Rutgers, you know what I'm saying? Like almost like those guys, it's kind of, it's comparable, but people won't compare them, right? And it's like, look, you're still playing at LIU, right? Irregardless of where it is. And some of the hardships too, like, you're in New York, like you're basically New York City, dude. Like some guys aren't down, they don't want that smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though it's a suburban school, like they don't understand that because they hear New York, they think New York City, irregardless of what it is. So I think those are some of the hoops that you guys have to jump through in order to get guys, right? Do you see more of the guys that are looking to come in? Are they coming back from a Power Four? Are they lower level PSAC going up? Right? Like, what do you see more of currently? Right? Because we know it's forever changing. And look, you don't have to disclose it if it's anything that'll get you in trouble. I don't want to get you in trouble. But I'm just curious, like, do you see more bounce backs or do you see more bounce ups?
I think depends on what you're pursuing, right? It's where you spend your time and effort.
Like last year, obviously losing 4 linemen, you're like, oh shit, we need linemen. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's
like
hard. And for us, it's hard to go find comparable
no doubt.
And
I think that's the other part. Like linemen themselves, I tell guys all the time, buddy, go be a lineman. There's 5 of you on the field at one time. You know what I'm saying? Like you're the position that everybody needs the most of, yet you're the least available because in this world of NIL and clickbait and 7-on-7s and flag, nobody wants to be a lineman. Like nobody wants to do it, right? Like it's unfortunate, but you can't win without it, bro. And Ian Pace Ian's been on, right? So Pace has been on when he was at, like, so we've had these conversations. A good O-line coach, bro. Like to me, if I'm a head coach, my first hire is obviously a GM at this point, right? Then your strength guy. And then, dude, I'm looking for the best O-line coach in the country. Like, come on, brother. Like whatever you need, because I need you. And that's that development of linemen themselves. You're an anchor roll away from like, well, we better run all our plays to the left because this right side is hurting right now. And you need it's not just 5 or 6 or 7, because those guys get banged up, man. Like you need a solid 8 that can roll. And it's really hard to find them.
It is.
That's why I think you see some of the bigger programs taking, you know what I mean? Like that D3 lineman, like to go to D2, like they're stretching to take guys that probably a couple years ago would not be a scholarship guy. right? But because of the way the world and the market and everything is, like, that's the other thing too. I think it's so funny. Kid walks in there and he's like, well, the market value for my position is this. Like, I should be getting this. You're like, buddy, this is LIU. Like, we ain't freaking, this ain't Alabama here, buddy. This is, we don't have Nike money here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, because that's what parents see. That's what kids see. That's where I think the head coach, your job as a head coach or a coach in high school is to let guys know, like, that's not the world. I know that's what you see the most of, but here's the realities of it. Most of these guys ain't getting paid like that, And because I think that helps your job, right? Now you don't have to answer that question, which that could throw you off right from that point. Like, really, this is what this guy's asking about? Like, do I really want this guy? And at this point, I think with recruiting, you're splitting hairs, right? Like, only the best of the best are going to get scholarships right out of high school, because if not, I'm just going to go grab a portal guy. You know what I mean? Overall, some teams flop. And look, we've seen that as a great thing. We've seen that as a terrible thing. Like, to me, you look at the two teams in the national championship, majority of those guys have that were starters, played 4 years of college football on those rosters, right? Like, they weren't just plug and play guys, couple here or there, but majority of it was developed from within. And that's what it is. I think some of these guys, like, you look at Florida State a couple of years ago, right? Undefeated. All of a sudden, those guys leave. They try and play the transfer portal role. Like, whoosh, they weren't an undefeated team. You know what I'm saying? Like, they go a different way, because just because a guy's a really good player and you get him in the portal doesn't mean that he's the right makeup for your locker room. And to me, the locker room will always, rise to the top in terms of, you need a really good locker room in order to win more games than you lose. And that bad apple, now he takes 6 or 7 with you, and now you're 2 years in the hole because you got to rewrite it and figure all that stuff out, which is so unfortunate in the ultimate team game that we're talking about. You know what I mean? So I understand it's a plug and play type of thing, or it's an availability thing. Where do you stand, Coach, on the never burn bridges type of recruiting, right? A kid who you recruited really hard, but he decides to go somewhere else, right? And I don't think any coach would ever be honest with it, but, like, you might be pissed, but you're not going to burn that kid to the ground, right? Because you just never know.
Right. I think more so now today than ever before, right? Even with that, I think so, like, with a high school coach, that goes so far, because those guys are the gatekeepers, right, to the program, and not to the player today, but the player tomorrow and down the road as well too. I think what's been, I told a coach and I told a player not too long ago, I was like, hey, listen, because of where we're at with the running back room right now, I said, if Jimmy, right, say Jimmy, if Jimmy has some Division II opportunities, I said, take him. I said, tell him to take him right now. And just because LIU is not the right fit for him today doesn't mean that we won't be in a year or 2 years down the road. Let's say the kid goes to name your PSAC school, tears it up. Guess who's really excited about Jimmy a year or 2 years from now? LIU, right? And because you didn't burn the bridge with the player, you didn't burn the bridge with the coach, right? Now you've got a legitimate shot about getting this kid 2 years down the road. And now you've got him developed, defined more often. It's only going to work out for you guys and everyone, in the future. I think that's something that I've tried to do a better job of and be more transparent with. And then also too, like, coach, like, man, like, you're telling the kid, like, what's best in the interest for the kid. They get excited. They can respect that as well too.
Parents as well. You know what I'm saying too? And I also, I try to tell guys this too. And look, this is coming after a year of, like, it was the worst year I've ever seen in terms of parents, right? Like, just like what parents would yell or say, or just feel like they were entitled to kind of be out there and do it. Like, I try to tell kids all the time, like, buddy, not only are you getting recruited, but they're recruiting your parents as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, no college coach, which to me, this was like when it all kind of like, wow, the world's on fire type of thing, was when my college coaches would talk about how players' parents at the college level are calling them about playing time, or why is this or why is that. I said, but, like, if I don't prepare these kids to do that, to have those hard conversations, and that responsibility of, that's on you, it's not on mommy and daddy. Like, I haven't done my job, right? Like, that kid shouldn't, like, mommy shouldn't be filling out recruiting questionnaires, Right. Like, so
unless mom's going to make a tackle on third down.
No doubt. And believe me, like, look, if mom's out there, if mom has the ability to do that, then then they're probably going to be at a level where like, hey, like you're going to be okay no matter what. Right. Like, cause that's awesome. Right. But I try to really coach that. And I think a lot of guys don't, because it's, hey, X's and O's, or it's this or it's that. But no, man, you got to teach the character aspect of it. You got to teach it, because not only is like college football is one thing, but like there's so much outside of the field and the game itself that you have to now handle on your own and deal with. Like, buddy, can you do your laundry? Like, right. Are you responsible enough to wake up and go to class, or not be late to a meeting, or put a schedule together? Now, look, I get it. We can babysit you a little bit. You're going to have mandatory study hall. I'm going to help you out in the retrospect, but like, I got to be able to trust you to do all this shit when I'm not around, not just when the lights go on. Right. And that's, I guess, to circle fullback, like, how do you recruit that kid? Like, how do you know who he is, right? Like, how do I know that kid's going to be that? Well, conversation face to face, or talking to mom or dad, or hey buddy, do you show up in a pair of absolutely, like the head coach the head coach knows all that. And if you don't know that as the head coach, shame on you. You're doing an injustice to your players. And as an assistant coach, I should be even a level deeper, because there are some things that kid's going to say to me that he sure as hell ain't going to say to the head coach.
Yeah. Well, I think too, like if you look at the high school coach, and you know this better than I do, the pressure that the high school coach is getting,
unbelievable.
The AD, he's getting it from mom and dad, right? And he's getting it from outside people are saying, hey, push Jimmy to said school. Did you guys, is so-and-so school coming in to see, or whatever it is? So it's like, okay, you almost kind of have to remove the high school salesman.
No doubt.
Because they're being influenced because you see some of these coaches that, they'll take the picture with the college coach when he's on campus, and they'll tell you 9 out of 10 times, they're just like, man, I have to do this because my AD, or I have to do this because so-and-so's, am I pushing kids? Like, yeah, coach is doing his job, but he's got to document it just for everyone else to be like, okay, he's doing his job, versus like just the letting things, happen as they're supposed to happen and take place, and trusting that you hire the right individuals and that coach is doing the right thing, because 9 out of 10 times coach is doing everything that he can possibly for Jimmy. It might be the fact that Jimmy's just not very, very good. Right.
And I think the hardest part for parents to understand in that limelight too, is like, look, even though like I want Jimmy to do the best he can, and I will do everything I possibly can for him, but at the same time, I have to worry about the 70 other guys on the roster. I have to do what's best for the team. So in that setting, like, I understand where parents are so hard-headed and they're this and they're that, because it's all about Jimmy. That's their focus. That's their life. Like, that's little boo-boo. You know what I'm saying? But like, I got 70 little boo-boos that I have to worry about. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, wait, I have my own family too. Like, guys, like, this is a reality of it. Like, everything there's not enough hours in the day. And I think that's where a lot of high school coaches have either left the profession, or they just don't fully do it, is because this is a 365-day a year job, 7 days a week. It's never, especially now with phones and social media, everybody expects an answer like that. You know what I'm saying? There's no time away. There's no this, there's no that. At this level, it's definitely not for monetary gains. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's, unless you live in Texas, like, you guys ain't making that much money. I mean, look, you literally just saw the state of Florida have to pass a bill in the House and Congress to get those guys actual money, because they have the best athletes, but they're making dog shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fun.
Had to make PB&Js for his guys,
and then get suspended because he's paying for kids to get Ubers to go and be a part of something, right? Like, totally, like, just asinine, right? And look, I have a lot of friends that coach at high levels in Florida, and that's a whole different conversation, because that's what's cool about this podcast, is the networking and the guys we get to talk to around the country, of like, this is how we do it here, this is how we do it here, right? Like, specifically for New Jersey, like, we're so far behind, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you really talk about like putting kids in the best situations, like, to move forward, like, and I think that goes into recruiting. Right? Like, I may not I may not take a kid when it comes down to like splitting hairs from this school, because the academics in this school don't line up with what we have, and he's going to struggle the entire time here. He's better off going somewhere else. Whereas this guy, because we just had the associate head coach, assistant head coach from Princeton on. And look, and I understand Princeton's something different, right? But he talked about that, right? Like, I need to recruit the kid that can handle this here, right? It's not his fault he went to the high school and they don't do it that way, right? But I at least have to make him aware of it and like kind of see if can he handle that side of it. It's why, to me, college, it's why you see a lot of now, like the college coach at the P4 level, they literally only coach. And then there's an entire different side that does all the recruiting. They're off the field. They're in the thing. I think, Ohio State just did it, right? Their OC and DC. Okay, NFL guys, we get it. They don't go on the road, bro. Like, everybody else goes and gets those guys. And then once they get in the building, now we'll talk about it, right? But for that, it is strictly coaching. It is strictly recruiting. And it's recruiting. Are you recruiting high school guys, right? Like, that's what you're assigned to. Are you a portal person? You only look at the portal, right? Like, the jobs, it's a whole different side. It's why, and we love it, right? Because now we see coaching actually becoming a career, right? And like a real job, not just like a glorified hobby where, we see some guys coming out of college, and we've talked to a couple of them, the track of now, excuse me, the college coach, some of these guys, they'll pass up playing in college. Hey, I'm not going to go to D3 and get my ass kicked for 4 years. I'm just going to jump right in now and start coaching. And they're 4 years ahead. Hey, I'll be the student assistant, right? Like, I'm willing to do all the dirty work, right? Until I can finally earn the respect and maybe get a room. It's just such a different track now, Ryan, that we see a lot of these younger guys. I wish it was there for me. I'm sure I still would have tried to play for at least a year or two. But once I saw the writing on the wall, it would have been like, oh, hey, Coach Brown,
will disagree.
Wherever you go, I'll go.
Because here's the things. I'm with you. Because maybe I'm biased, right? But there's something about the coach who's been in the mud, who's been in the locker room.
No doubt. 100%. That's my argument as well. Every time.
I think that, and again, that's not a knock on these, because I say the same thing too. It's like, growing up in Wisconsin, I should have walked on at Wisconsin, and I should have, done my time, become a GA shortly thereafter. And who knows what type of pipeline that would have done for my career, or at least, got it off to a fast track. But it's like, I would never, as a small school guy, I was like, I never wanted to, like, I look back on my experience and you know what, playing in games, 2-minute fourth quarter, like, those were the most, like, I will always remember
those. That's part of it.
And so that, to me, and it's like, I don't sit here and say, oh, when I was playing this, that, and otherwise.
Right.
You at least know how to read a room when you're talking with a position group. You can read a locker room. You can read the, how guys are handling things when it's, week 10 and they haven't hit a bye week yet. Like, you can because you've been in those situations,
right?
Not to make it about you, but you have a better sense of understanding of the situation. I think that's very, very important. I think one thing that you were talking about with like these GMs and these coaches and recruiting, I think there's going to be, and I know it does happen some places, because you have coach, right, who wants recruit A, but you also have GM and recruiting department that might want recruit B. Recruit B might be a 4-star or a 5-star, and everyone's excited about him because then school becomes, they have a better recruiting ranking. But coach wants to recruit player A because he feels that he can develop him, he can grow him, he understands where he's coming from, the high school that he's at, the high school coach he's known for 20 years. Like, there's a lot of internal headbutting between these recruiting GM departments and the actual position coach who's tied to that individual being productive.
Loyalty, right? Like, we talk about loyalty all the time. And look, I heard, this is a great point, right? It's a phenomenal point, Ryan. Like, I love it. And obviously, for where we are located in Jersey, like Monmouth, like, they open the doors, right? Like, Coach Gallo coming in there after literally Coach Callahan has been the only head coach there since the program started in 1993, right? And now you're taking a guy like Jeff Gallo who comes in and he wants an open door policy when it comes to the shore, like our guys, right? Like, you guys come in and you can sit in meetings, come to a winter workout, right? Like, come watch, do whatever, open practice, whatever you want, sit down, tape. And he talked about, like, but understand this, right? Like, we're going to agree to disagree, because this is his words. Like, I understand how like all of you care about your players to the utmost, and you think every one of them should be on a scholarship here at Monmouth. But you know what? That's not the case. And we have to be respectful about this is the world. That's what it is. I feel it's like the same thing with Greg Schiano at Rutgers. Every New Jersey high school coach feels like their best players should have a scholarship to Rutgers. Well, buddy, we're playing in the big, we're playing in the big, and 100, and rightfully so, because that tells me you actually give a shit about your kid. You might be delusional, but that's okay, right? Like, because that it is what it is. Call it what it is. But I have to worry about my team here, not my personal relationship. And it's not personal. It's nothing, has nothing to do with who you are. I have to worry about this roster, this team, and fucking beating Ohio State. You know what I mean? But that guy ain't going to help me do that. So that's a very hard world to sit in, and parents don't, they struggle with that too as well.
There's a lot of, there's a lot of, you know, we especially in football, right? There's a lot of strong levels of confidence in egos, right? And so, like, how do you break up with coaches? How do you break up with players and allow for it to be amicable? Like, that's the hardest part.
Cordial.
Because like, people are going to take things personal because it's, you know, they look at the time, the energy, the effort that they've invested into something, whether it's a player as a coach, right? Or it's a player that they've done into, like, they're training for it and the investment. And then mom and dad, they've invested these dollars in it. And where's the return on the dollars? But sometimes the return is just the experience. Sometimes the return is Friday nights, and like you have to celebrate that. And maybe the return is, like I said, maybe the return is your small college opportunity right now in 2026.
No doubt.
And maybe it's LIU in 2028. And maybe like we have guys right now that played 2 years of high school football that came to us as raw as could be, that are now collecting checks at Rutgers. It's like, guys, like, we really don't know the ceiling on a lot of these things. Like, we can't sit here and pat ourselves on the back, because, like,
and we also don't know just like kind of how this system is going to play out in the long run. So you got to, and I tell guys this, like, you got to take what's there now, because you don't know this. I don't think you can put the toothpaste back in the tube, but like, you know, so this is always going to somewhat be here, but there is no way in my eyes this is sustainable where guys are doing this, flying off the hand, like making this much at this point. And for me, the hardest part too is to, like, because even if I were in this situation, for some of this is life-changing money. Some of these kids, right? If they go and now they get that NIL or whatever it is at a different place, like, they're not going to be in the NFL. They got to go and take what it is right now. 100%. I get that. But on the flip side, I feel bad because they're in that position, because there's nothing like the locker room, and there's nothing like the camaraderie between those guys that are on your team, right? And you know, you talk about playing for the name on the front and not the back, and like the battle of, like, I'm the two trying to fight to be the one, and you know what I mean? That struggle and competitiveness, it just builds so much character and so many things that help you in life, right? Rather than just, hey, I'm going to go and take the money, or, hey, I don't want to battle this. I'm going to go here where I can be the guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, ultimately, like, you'll remember some of that stuff, but like, you'll remember winning a game way more, or, you know, what you were doing in the locker room with those guys that you had been with for 3-4 years. And it all culminates, like, you know, whatever. To just bounce around now, I really feel bad that these guys are even in that situation to have to make those hard decisions. You know, I mean, you're talking about a couple of years ago, like, the backup Penn State quarterback has to make a decision of whether he's going to transfer or whether he's going to play in, like, a playoff game, right? Because of how the calendar was set.
Yeah, and then that's where I'm like, that's the things that I do believe will be adjusted, but I don't think the money changes. And I think
it only gets crazier.
Well, and here's the thing. I think we have to be a little bit careful what we ask for. And I say I'm looking at the player, the recruit, right?
Right.
Oh, there's all this much more money. Well, guess what? It's going to become that much more cutthroat. So the opportunity you might have had now because you wanted all this money, or you wanted this thing to turn into this, you know, what it could be. Well, don't be surprised when now they start giving schools and programs the opportunities just to kind of cut ties with you like an NFL roster.
Well, because you want to be treated like now a bit, right? You want to be treated like this, and you want to make money. Now I'm going to ask for something in return, and you know what? Maybe it's, hey, contracts where, hey, you have to at least be here for 2 years, or, you know, hey, if you're going to make this much, like you only get this until you do this, or like roster bonuses of like, you're still here at this point of time, like something, it's going to be more like NFL incentives, 100%. You had 50 catches, boom, here's this much money, right? Which is kind of how you see it working now, right? In terms of like, hey, this guy did really freaking good. You know what I mean? Like we had a really great example of a female basketball player. We had her on. She was a high school player when I was coaching at this school, right? Goes to Bucknell for 2 years. She's conference player of the year, all of this other kind of stuff. She hits the transfer portal. Now she's starting at Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Like unbelievable, like story and changeover for like what happens when you kind of continue to do the right thing. And she was the first to tell us on the show, like it was a really hard decision to leave that place of where, you know, here's my teammates and we're doing good and all this other kind of stuff. But for her, felt like I need more. I have more to give. And I like these opportunities are here. Not like she went and sought them out. Like these guys are calling, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a little bit too of like, you know, you hear Dabo like all over it because, you know, he's got a guy on campus, but, you know, Ole Miss is calling this guy in class. Like that stuff has to be cleaned up a little bit. Like we know that stuff always goes on and the tampering and all of that, the windows, the calendar, all of those things. But it's really hard. Like you got to try to preach to your high school guys. Like that's not the norm. Like that is happening, but it's at the highest of the high levels. So, you know, go where you're wanted, develop, like be around guys that care about you, that want what's best for you, that are going to make you not only a good football player, but a better person and all those other kind of things. Cause that stuff translate for life, and majority of your life is not going to be playing football. Right. I just think that's so pivotal to be around guys like that.
Just hard
to coach the person, you know?
Yeah. Hard to see at 16. I can't blame the individuals for that. I think it's just, it takes the right guidance and education and understanding, and a lot of that stuff has to take place at home. But yeah, and then how are you supposed to tell a kid to quit dreaming? How do you tell a kid to not bet on himself? Like that goes against everything that, you know, we've grown up and instilled in individuals.
No doubt.
Like you should have the most confidence in yourself first and foremost. You should be your biggest critic, but you should be your biggest advocate. And so it's like, I can't sit here. And I think that's the hard part as coaches, whether it's high school or college, is like, you don't want to be the guy that sits down and feel like you're killing someone's dreams or you're shooting them
First
down.
thing I tell them is, hey, I don't want to be a dream killer, bro. Like I want you to prove me wrong, but in the world of the reality 100%. And just based 100%. Off of what I've seen, you know, statistics, numbers, like rock solid evidence, buddy, like this is where we think like you should be and you can be the most successful. If you want to bet on yourself, kudos. I hope you prove me wrong. Right. But I'm just trying to put you in the best spot to have the best chance or opportunity, right? Because we know this game gets taken away from you faster than it's given to you, right? Like it could be one play and it's over, and now you didn't go there because you stayed on the team. Like what that's, but even in that, like you got to find the positives in everything, and that's kind of a life lesson, right? Like in moving forward. Coach, it's been unbelievable. You know, talking to you, like I think I have one more question before I let you go, because you know you deserve some time, and especially being on spring break and whatnot, like you got to go live a little bit. When it comes to your path, right, having been at smaller schools and then getting the opportunity to now be at LIU, which I think is a phenomenal program. And I can't say enough about where it is based off of, like, you know what I mean, and everything that you guys have done in the last couple of years, and playing who you play in some of those games. I'm like, God damn, like rock and roll, good luck. Like, but shit. Okay. How do you feel that's impacted you as a coach, right? Having been at Division III programs, having been in different areas geographically than you are now, right?
Yeah.
As a coach, how has that kind of benefited you in the level of coaching that you're at now?
Yeah, I think it's been an absolute blessing. I refer to myself in times of like being a chameleon, right? I think, and it's only because of the exposure to those different environments. Those different environments produced, a culture of different people, different backgrounds from some, whether it be religions, but socioeconomics, right? Race, things like that. And then it's funny because when you look at the collection of a locker room, you look at the collection of a team, right? You look at a huddle, there's no really two people that are alike, right? There's going to be something that's going to be different about them. And when you're dealing with the masses, when you're talking about a roster of 100 guys, like your ability to connect with 1 through 100 is going to directly, allow for you to be successful or not. So Vermilion, South Dakota, right? A town of 10,000, you can count the stoplights on one hand. And the next year you're at FIU in Miami, right? And then you're in Los Angeles, and, fast forward, and now you're in Lewiston, Maine, like corners of the country, corners of the world, if you will. It's been some of the most exciting parts of this journey, is being in these different locations. And you're dealing with, the Division III individual who has sights set on what he wants to do post, college career, academically, professionally. He's got an internship at Fidelity.
Oh yeah,
he's doing
like at Bates too, right? Like you're talking mini Ivy League, bro. Like you're talking guys that are like, Coach, I love this game, but like I'm gonna be the CEO of this, right? Or I'm gonna do this. Like totally different perspective on every aspect of it, right? Like just
I coached a player at Albright College who had some back neck surgery. So he was getting stingers so often, but he had the surgery to essentially remove the nerve so he could play his senior year of Division III college football. And you're like, and then you sit there, and on the other side of the times, you're at these programs where these guys are, either making some money, they're doing some things at a high level. And like, you get just a variety of different individuals that, care deeply about this game or don't, or take it for granted. But anyways, back to what you were asking, like, I just have such an appreciation for, whatever environment I'm thrown into, and whether it's special teams or it's running backs or it's DBs, like, being able to be, relevant and transparent and develop relationships with players that I really have nothing in common with.
Right.
Like if you look at my first 18 years, like, of my life and my upbringing, and has no correlation or no, similarities to theirs, yet we've found common ground, at where we're at today. And we have same missions and goals that we want to accomplish, and we're committed to each other. Like, that's the most gratifying, like, situation that there is. Like, you and I are both trying to accomplish the same thing, yet neither of us are like by any means. Like, that is my, like, celebration of this game day in and day out. It's what gets me up every morning. It is one of the things that I am so excited about.
Right. It's awesome. No, it really is. It really is. And I just think that you feel it's more rewarding when you've kind of been at those levels and you see so many guys that are just so passionate about playing the game a certain way. You know what I mean? Because they didn't have the offer, or they didn't have that. You know what I mean? Like, they had those aspirations, but the measurables aren't there, or whatever it is. But they're like, hey, I want to be a part of this. And I think that's something that's kind of gone away maybe a little bit. Like, a lot of guys really like what the game can do for them, not, all the fluff and all the stuff outside of it, rather than just really truly love and are extremely passionate about the game themselves. I think that love of the game will ultimately push you through. It's going to make you work harder. Right. And at the end of the day, like, I want a roster of guys that love football. Right.
Yeah.
And it's not, hey, I just want to be on the team because I can now put it on my social media and, like, now I'll get more calls from this girl because, I play. But, like, you got to love it because it's a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, football's different, man. Like, a lot more practice than it is games. There's a lot of shit that goes into it. Guys don't really understand. Like, it ends at high school for most people. It's why you see so many guys still holding on, right? It's why the fence has a bunch of varsity jackets from years that, like, I wasn't even born, but they're still at the game because those high school memories in this game itself is so different than anything else. You know what I mean? But, it is what it is. Yeah. You look for guys that are passionate about it and that love it. And those are the guys that do.
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah. 100%. I think the toughest part, and this is the last thing I have, is really just like you don't actually get to see careers come full circle, because the individuals that are on campus with you early on in those first couple of years, if they're successful, they're not there, right? They're not there year 3, year 4, year 5, because someone's going to pay them and they're going to have a better opportunity. And if you know that individual, you recruit that individual, you know what's at home, you're so encouraging of them pursuing that next opportunity because it's going to benefit them. It's like the individual that is making things better at home while still being in college. Like, you're so excited about them. You just might not see them walk across the stage and graduate from your institution. I think that's probably the hardest part about all of this.
There's no doubt about it, because ultimately, like, we used to talk about, hey, 4 years for the next 40, right?
Yeah,
and that still stays the same, but it was meant to be the same institution, right? And then 40, not four different, or, you know, whatever year. And now you're, you know, playing, you know, as a 28-year-old or whatever it is. But Ryan, I can't thank you enough, brother. That's it, dude. Like, yeah. And now they're on TikTok selling it. Like, hey man, like, you know, a day in the life of a college football player, right? Like, here we go. Listen, man, I can't thank you enough for the time. Would love to get you on again to actually talk some X's and O's and some scheme stuff. If you'd be willing to do that whenever you're free and whatnot. But we know college coaches, you know, the time is unbelievable. So really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us for a little bit, man. And can't thank you enough.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure of mine.
Awesome, man. We'll talk soon. Go enjoy spring break, and good luck with spring ball. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks again.
Thanks, man.